how can I track whether my child's on track in the various subjects here? Science, history, geography, things. I think we've answered that. Let me answer that a little bit more practically. And that is when Jamie's finished Alpha book, Matthew C. Alpha, teach you to add. I don't give him Gamma next, which is multiplication, because he hasn't yet learned to subtract. So I don't give him an addition book and then a multiplication book and leave the middle because he's 10. Now he needs to be doing that book. Okay? I give him the Alpha book. When he's mastered it and he's ready for the next book, he goes to the next level, which is subtraction. Now he can add. Now we're going to learn to subtract. So now we go on to the Beta book. This is Matthew C for the people who are not familiar with Matthew C. So then it's called Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, rather than grade 1, 2, 3, 4. Because if your children in school and you bring them home and the one's 12 and she has to do Beta because or Alpha, Beta, Gamma, the multiplication, because she doesn't know how to divide, which means she doesn't know how to multiply properly. And maybe that wasn't solid enough. So now we're going to go back to multiplication. And she doesn't want to do grade 3 book, and it's a baby book, for example. So it's not called grade 3, it's called Gamma. Because Steve in his wisdom knew from God's guidance, God's wisdom, to not give them grades, but to give them colors and names to help the children and the parents. And so now, talking about keeping track, I don't give him a book that is 2 years ahead of himself. Or our daughter, it doesn't matter that she's 10 and she's still using Blue Book, because that's what she's battling to read. So that's the book we use until she's learned to read. And when she's reading, we move her to the next one. How do I keep a track of that? I keep a track according to her ability, her skill, what is she capable of? What can she do? What can't she do? That is my track. My tracker is my child. If that can answer that question. How to track them is to see what their ability is. So now you've got a son that is loving maths, and he's gobbling up the maths book. He's just flying, one book after the next, and the languages. Okay, I'm looking at one over there behind the camera. And he just like, give me maths, give me science, give it to me. And comes to language, okay, we're going to write now about this or that. And he writes, I don't really like writing. Full stop. Okay. So what do? How do I track this? Well, I put the books away, for starters, and I say to him, right, now, could you please write the shopping list for us? We need the shopping list for Pick and Pay. Could you see, we Pick and Pay fans? Could you please do the shopping list? And he now goes to write the shopping list, and it's just easy. Just write the shopping list. He gets all the spelling right, where his sister, who has written some of the shopping list, you've got to really be creative to be able to decipher what that flour, she wants some flour for baking. Oh my goodness, only a mother can decipher that actually means Flour, because it's got some other letters, but they're kind of mixed up. And so, but he writes everything, all the spelling. I thought, now how does he spell like that? He just knows how to spell. I didn't teach him how to spell, he just got it. So I say to him, Jimmy, it's incredible, I'm really impressed with his spelling abilities. And he goes, well, that's why I don't need to write. Because I know it. You don't have to teach me anything. But he actually had a point. Now he's sitting there doing these lessons, and it's just like, I can do this. Why am I having to do? Oh, there's a point. Right, so now I get the...
Read the math book.
Sorry?
Read the math book.
Yeah, exactly. So now, talking about that, he read one of the maths problems. It says, how many meters of lace will you use for a wedding dress if it's so many if the circumference is so many meters around there? So he writes in the books, Grand's a dressmaker, not me. There's his answer. Done with that sum. Mom, if you need the answer for that, just ask Gran. She'll know. So you get to know your children. And you get to know what is just so easy for them and what they think is necessary and what they think isn't. And you then take it into a life lesson. You put the language books away and you say, right, now, let's paint the picture. You might not be able to understand this because you're 10 now. But one day when you're 18, you might want to be able to drive a car like your mother and father do. Do you think you might want to drive a car? Maybe. When I tried this one on Missy, she said, no, they don't have cars in heaven. I said, oh, okay. They didn't go. That one didn't work. But anyway. So I had to ask God for another one. But so I ask him that, and so now to get there, to get to that point, where you want to advance in your adult life and be able to do these things, these are the certain skills you're going to need. And God has entrusted you to my care, and He wants me to see to it that you've got those skills. I must train those skills in you. More importantly, is I must teach them to call on Him and to know Him and to read His Word. I must teach those things first. When that is done, I can concern myself with the life skills. And so then I teach them why they need this later on down the road, whether they understand it or not. But at the end of the day, whether you agree with me, son James, or not about this is how it's going to be. Because you know why? Because God put me in authority over you. And this is what I am doing daily as a responsible parent to see to it that you actually have the skills that He wants me to instill in you and to support you with. So this is how it's going to be. We're not going to just draw aeroplanes on our maths book or on our language book or whatever it is. We're going to do a little more than that. And so you carry on plodding along, tracking along, and according to the world system and according to everything, fortunately I didn't have that to measure against, but people now do. They measure themselves against the world system. I'm not too sure why, because it's fairly pointless. But if you were doing that and you were your child is doing grade 2 level when he's 12 or whatever it might be, you're referencing all of that. You've got to ask yourself, can he do grade 5 level? My child is 10, she can't read. Can I give her the grade, what grade goes with 10 years of age? Okay, can I give her the grade 3 book when she hasn't been able to do the grade 1 book? Can I? No. As a parent, am I going to do that? I'm going to give her the grade 3 book because she's 10 now. I would never do that. You would never do that to your child. You're not going to give your child a bicycle that's this big when he can't get on one that's this big. You're not, are you? No. You're going to give them the little thing with the training wheels, and then you take one off, another one, and then they're going to ride. That's what you're going to do. So you do the same with education. You don't track it against anybody else. You track it against the individual. Because if that child was in the system and they've got a special learning ability situation, they won't be in the regular school, they'll be in the special school, and now all of a sudden the special schools, oh no, they are right because they can't read because they've got a reading problem. So nobody's worrying about what level they're at or what standard they're at or how well they're doing. They're not worried about that anymore, whoever they is. I don't even know who they is. But I think that they might be you actually. You might be worrying about their standard and their record keeping and their tracking and I'm saying to you, I don't know, check with God whether He's saying to you He's worried about it too. Because if you've been irresponsible and your children are running around wild and you're not feeding them and they freeze and cold because you didn't put their jerseys on because you don't have a jersey because you didn't bother about that. You don't care if they're cold. I don't think so. I think you care for your children. I think you love your children, you're nurturing them, and you're serious about this parenting. That's why you're here. And because of that, God is pleased. And that's what matters to Him. And so, yes, it matters to Him that you teach them to read and numeracy and literacy. It does matter to Him, agreed. But the level when and how is he's mastered his blue book, right? He can go on to red book, right? He can go on to yellow book. We have a son there that took blue book with him to his bedroom and, he was just so keen to read. And he just ended up teaching himself because I was trying to make him wait. Okay? So he was one of those, just flew through everything. Hardly any teaching required. So what must I do? Must I hold him back? Well, maybe I should because maybe he's going a bit fast. But guess what happened? He got beyond his maturity. The book was too beyond his level of maturity as a child. Do you see? So now he doesn't want to do the apologia biology. He just wants to go straight to chemistry. Okay, we'll give that a go. Oh, but now you've got to buy the chemistry book when you actually need the biology book and it's a budget thing. Don't worry about that. You get the chemistry book because you're going to get one anyway. And he goes halfway into the first module and he goes, oops, I can't do this. I need to do this one first. Oh, really? So now he has to wait, doesn't he? Because now the budget is taken up on that book that was supposed to start last year. Now what am I going to do? Oh, no, now I've made a mistake. Well, you're going to have to get creative because you've taught your son, a bigger lesson than the book. And now you wait. You wait till the budget is ready again to buy the book that is required. And in the meantime, you fill in the gap with whatever life lessons are needed. It's not about the book. Whether you got it or didn't, whether you had the money or didn't, or whether you bought it, it's not about that. But I understand these things happen because I understand I've got one child that's just learning at such a pace I can't keep up, and another one that has to understand who decided the letter A had to be the letter A. And why did they call it that, and why is it that shape? Okay, so we spent a few months on A before we got to B. All right. So, and then you've got another one's just spelling. So, you see? Two completely different extremes. And then you've got the foster children thrown into the mix as well. We had foster children that was one foster child that was about 5 characters wrapped up in one. Yeah, that was now all about character. Forget about the learning. Everything was about character with her. To teach her not to be a thief. That was a little bit more important than making sure she could multiply. That was a lesson that was of far greater importance to God. And was much, much harder than teaching a maths lesson.